My name is Daniela Bardesio. I am from Audio Directions. We installed the products that you will find throughout the hospital. We install induction loops. So today we're going to be learning about the different products that have been installed throughout the hospitals and the clinics. And we're also going to talk a little bit about hearing loss awareness. It's obviously important to understand effective communication with a patient with a hearing loss. So I do touch up a little bit about that. A little bit about myself. I went to school for deaf studies, and I also studied American Sign Language. I took many courses on dynamics of communication with individuals with hearing loss, as well as the linguistics of American Sign Language. I have 9 years, a little bit over 9 years in the field with accommodations with individuals with disabilities, specifically individuals with hearing loss. I have my certification on ADA compliance from Cornell University. I also have a certification for technology solutions with individuals with hearing loss, as well as a certification from the Hearing Loss Association of America as a hearing loss support specialist. And I am also a certified employment support specialist or professional. So I go out to different businesses in the community to help them understand how to better provide technologies for their employees. So when we talk about effective communication between hearing and hard of hearing or individuals with hearing loss, I really enjoy this statement. It's the ability to communicate defines us as human beings and as a society. It forms a foundation for decision-making and relationship building. Communicating with individuals with hearing loss is an achievable goal, and the tools are available to us. They are considerable and limited only by your creativity and desire to communicate. So we can achieve that goal of communication with individuals with hearing loss, right? And as you will see in the next slide, here we'll see the different levels of hearing loss. I'm sure some of you have already seen an audiogram before, and you may or may not know the different degrees of hearing loss. Going back to communication, not everybody communicates the same, right? People are going to have different preferences on communication. So it's important to kind of understand that it's not a one size fits all. We want to talk to the person with the hearing loss. We want to ask them what their preferred communication method is, because for some people, while it can be technology and technology has had great strides, for other people it could be just talking face to face, or it could be communicating through text, communicating through writing back and forth. But there is always a way to bridge the gap between the communication, and people with hearing loss do that every day. They try to bridge the gap between communication between themselves and a person who is hearing. Just to give you a little background, in the state of New Jersey, there are over 8 million people, and the New Jersey Department of Human Services, they have a division called the Division of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. They have put out on their website that there are over 850,000 individuals in New Jersey with varying degrees of hearing loss. So that's a pretty impactful number. It's 1/8 of the state of New Jersey are made up of individuals with different types of hearing loss, right? So I like to show this slide, and a lot of people give me good feedback about this slide, because here in this audiogram on the yellow space, which is technically sometimes referred to the speech banana, you can see where human sound or human voice lies. So if you look on the other side of the slide, the different degrees, you can see that that is from mild to moderate, right? So speech can become affected, speech can become affected in the mild to moderate hearing loss range. So communication and these technologies make it it's more impactful to those individuals with hearing loss to be able to utilize these technologies to help their hearing and their effective communication. Also, one statistic is that about 25% of comprehension comes from reading lips. So a lot of people ask me, oh, but all people with hearing loss can read lips. That is not true. While many of them can read your lips, it depends on the onset of hearing loss. It depends on, did they become a late deafened adult? Were they born deaf, or were they born hard of hearing? At what age did they lose their hearing? So a person, who was born deaf relies on lip reading and has been doing that so their whole life. But a person who becomes deafened or hard of hearing or loses their hearing later on in life kind of has to catch up, and they have to learn how to read lips, right? So it's important to note that it's not always effective. So there needs to be other things that can help increase the comprehension. So here we have, I'm going to have a video. It's going to go into YouTube. So while I can't show you, or anybody can show you what it is actually like to have a hearing loss, I found this video, which is a sort of an assimilation. I'm sure you guys remember the Flintstones. It was a favorite cartoon of mine. So I like to show this video because it will go back to the slide where we had the different degrees of hearing loss, and it'll go through what it could sound like to a person with a hearing loss.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aha! You're on my apartment building on Granite Avenue. You owe me $300. Get it up?
Fran, take it easy. It's only a game.
Well, I'm just like them big tycoons. I play to win. Now, Barney, pay up or get out of the game.
So again, that was a very short video. It goes back to the slide where I show the different varying degrees of hearing loss, and it kind of goes through how the changes in sounds are affected. But again, that is not accurate for everybody, but I do like to show that as a form of assimilation. And as we get to talking about engaging individuals with hearing loss, patients that come in with a hearing loss, and some of the challenges that they may experience that you may be able to notice, because again, not everyone's going to come up to you. I think also as we installed the products and as I made my rounds going around the hospital and the different clinics where you had the product set up, the number one question that everybody asked me was, well, are they going to tell me that they have a hearing aid, or are they going to tell me that they have a hearing loss? And they may or may not tell you that. But there are different challenges that if they do tell you, there are different challenges that, they face that we can help, and we can kind of notice and help them through that. So some of the common indications that a patient might be hard of hearing or deaf is that they often ask for statements or questions to be repeated. And especially in the healthcare, and in any setting, but especially in the healthcare setting, when we repeat something, we might want to rephrase it because the comprehension or the understanding may not have come from the actual level of the communication, but just what is being communicated in general. Often misunderstands conversations and information, especially in a noisy or busy environment. This is why loops are very important, because the loop systems take away the background noise, the majority of background noise. Whereas another technology that has been around for a very, very long time is called FM system. They tend to pick up a lot of the background noise. So the loop systems have evolved. They've also been around for many, many years, but they have evolved and have reduced the amount of background noise to allow for better communication. Has difficulty understanding when they cannot see the speaker's face. So this is especially important for those of you who work in front of a computer and who get patients in front of you and you're behind the computer. It's very important for you to make eye contact. It's very important for them to be able to see your whole face and not have you behind that screen. Of course, you need to be behind the screen. The information that you need is behind that screen. But like to give a little tip that if you do need to get any information from either the screen or somebody behind you or another department, you need to make a phone call, let them know. Say, I don't have that information, but let me get that for you before you look away, because a lot of people do this. They talk, they have the screen and they're talking down, which can lessen the effective communication and the understanding. A lot of seniors will turn their head. That's an indication that they may not be understanding. That's also an indication of the level of the communication. So it's, again, not always about the level of sound and the level of communication, but this is maybe an indicator that you may want to ask them if they have, if they want to use the loop system, tell them about the loop system or tell them about a technology, or you may want to increase your volume. So speaking loudly, again, that can also be an indicator that the person has a hearing loss, because remember, we're not always going to know if the person has a hearing loss, and that's okay, because there are different cues that you can take to know that, or to kind of take a cue that, all right, maybe this person needs me to repeat something or rephrase something. Mumbling, and this goes back to being behind a computer screen or having something in the way of your face, that it can come out as mumbling. They could miss pieces, and of course, in every situation, but in healthcare, when we're trying to get vital information out, it's definitely important to make sure that there's no obstruction to your face or nothing there, or you can tell them, I don't have the information, or let me see if I can get that for you, whatever different scenarios that you guys have. So the last thing about engaging patients with hearing loss, a lot of these things you may know, but I like to point them out, and some of those things I've talked about. So speaking clearly at a normal pace, that's the number 2 question that I get. Should I speak loudly, and should I speak slowly? While that may be a preference for the person with the hearing loss, on most occasions, they do not want you to scream at them, yell at them, or speak beyond your normal pace, because if they are reliant on lip reading, they will already be used to a normal speaking pace. Looking directly at the individual again, not covering your mouth. I know a lot of folks that it's something that they just do. They'll put their hand over their chin, or they'll put their hand on the side of their face. So just being more mindful about not doing that. Avoid standing in front of a light source, which can make it difficult to see your face. So 2 things about lights. First of all, how many times are we trying to take selfies in the lights and, you see shining in the center of your face? That can also be a little bit confusing to a person who's solely, reliant on reading your lips, or solely reliant on your body language. But another thing for hearing aid users is that fluorescent light bulbs do generate sound. Although, we may not hear it as a fully hearing person, they do generate sound. So if you are directly above a fluorescent light, just know that, it could be affecting their hearing instrument. Don't be afraid to use pen and pencil. Like I said, always ask the person. When in doubt, if you don't know what their preferred method of communication is, you can always ask them. But pen and paper, if there is not a technology available, can help. Also, modern age technology, phones, sometimes they do text back and forth. Really important to use open-ended questions, because a yes or no, especially for, folks with profound hearing loss, yes or no doesn't allow you to know, have they fully understood what I'm saying to them? And again, I always state in every single situation, but mostly also in healthcare, it's important for us to know, okay, they've understood when we're talking about medications, when we're talking about private information that they need to give you if you guys are, doing intakes, just in any situation really. But open-ended questions definitely allow for more opportunities for both of the parties, the hearing and the person with the hearing loss, to check each other's understanding as a topic, right? So it's important to use that. So let's go into the products. So, and and what it actually is. So an audio frequency induction loop system, AFILS, or we call it a hearing loop. It is used to make communication easier for hearing instrument users. However, Audio Directions has also released what we call a listener. And a listener acts like the T-coil. So if a person does not have a hearing aid, or if their hearing aid or cochlear implant does not have a T-coil, then they can utilize what we call a listener. It is a headset with a pouch, and that pouch it acts like the T-coil so that the technology can work for them. So what does it do? It provides a magnetic signal that is picked up by the hearing instrument or the T-coil listener when it is set to its T-coil setting, right? So we have to know that it will not work if the person wearing the hearing instrument has a T-coil, but it is not on. Now, this technology has been around for years. In fact, the US is pretty much behind because the entire UK is looped. Schools, metro systems, hospitals, theaters, you name it, it is looped. So we are really behind in trying to get this technology into public spaces. Throughout your facilities, we have installed several different loops. For example, in this auditorium and in the boardroom, it is permanently looped. All of our products have the same outcome, but they are installed differently. So a permanent loop is installed in the parameter of the room. And then you have portable loops, which all of your reception areas, I think that's what you guys call it, reception areas have, which is great because that can travel with the patient if you needed to go somewhere else. And it's also for one-to-one private communication. It has a 3 to 4 foot radius. So it is basically meant for one-to-one, where here it's one-to-many, and in the boardroom is also the one-to-many option. So the hospital has done a great job of getting all of these products into the hospital just to make sure that you are ADA compliant, but also most importantly that you are able and you have the ability to have effective communication with every person that walks through your building or your clinics. So this is what I was talking about. So this is what the portable loop looks like. It is a portable device. It weighs like maybe 2-3 pounds, not even. And it has a battery, which you can utilize for 12 to 14 hours. So let's say you forget to plug it in, it's okay. It will work for 12 to 14 hours. This product, you do have to turn on, okay? Because there is a built-in mic. You could attach a gooseneck mic if you want to, and most of your reception areas have them attached, so you don't have to do anything. But you could utilize it you could unplug the gooseneck mic and you could use its internal mic, just as good. Plugged in, obviously you can keep it permanently on the reception area, or it is called a portable loop, which you can unplug it. The battery works 12 to 14 hours. Again, 3 to 4 feet radius. So really made for one-to-one or 1 to 2, maybe husband and wife, or 2 people coming in to get an intake or whatever. But it does not go beyond 4 feet. So another question that I got when I went around to ask about the installations and how everything went and how often they were being utilized was, well, do I have to turn it on? Or how do I know when to turn it on? Which are very good questions. My tip to everybody was always have it on, because the only person who's going to be getting the advantage of the technology is the hearing aid or hearing instrument user, or a person who's going to, say, oh, I forgot my hearing aids, and then you can offer them the listener. So it will not, your personal conversation is not going to go beyond that, because again, this technology is utilized by hearing aid and hearing instrument users. Oh, this picture is actually of this room. So again, this is the permanent loop amplifier. As I explained, it goes around the parameter of the room. You don't even see it. It is taped, or sometimes it goes under flooring. Here I do see that it is taped around the room, so you can look around the room. It is taped all around the parameter of the room. And the mic needs to be on. So here we do need to turn the mic on. But this would be utilized when we're doing a presentation of one-to-many. There is also another product that we have, which is the seat cushion. That works exactly the same technology as the other induction or hearing loops, but it goes on a seat, and that can also be portable. You plug that in, and that is just on at all times. You don't have to do anything with that. You also have some ceiling tiles. Quite a few of them, because I made my rounds around the hospital, and instead of having the portable, they actually had the ceiling tile. And for that reason, it would be if you have separate counters. So in some of your clinics, you have the windows, and then you have another window. That ceiling tile can be, it depends on the size. You can order in many different sizes. So it can be 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, 14 feet. You can make it. So I think that the hospital took advantage of the spaces. And when our installers came out, it was kind of like what works best for the area that they came in to see. So you definitely have some ceiling tiles around the hospital. So those are the products that we have. Those are the products that you guys have installed. And if we talk about the physics, I know I talked a little bit about how it works. I'm not going to talk physics for you to bore you guys about physics today, but just going to tell you about the working pieces of it. So you'll have a microphone, which is to capture the spoken word or an audio source, such as a TV or a sound system. You'll have the induction loop amplifier, and that is to process the audio signal, which is then output to the final piece, which is the loop cable covering a specific area. As I mentioned, here it would be around the room. In the portable, it would be around the portable device. In the seat cushion, around the seat cushion. And the loop covering the specific area acts as an aerial, which creates a magnetic signal, which is required. That's what's required by the hearing instrument, either a cochlear or a hearing aid or the listener. And some installments actually in the hospital and the medical offices, I forgot to mention, is mounted under a counter. So under a counter or reception area, but the technology is all the same. So this video, it's about a 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 minute video. Everything that I've explained to you guys, this is actually a video of an animation of how it works. So I think people like to actually see how it works, since I can't show you, around the room or inside of our products or anything like that. So this video will show you that.
Hearing loops, sometimes called induction loops, are the default assisted listening technology in many countries and are increasing in popularity around the world. They produce a signal that connects directly to a telecoil-enabled hearing aid, enabling people with hearing loss to listen to clear, intelligible sound regardless of background noise or the distance to the sound that they want to hear. Hearing loops function by creating an alternating magnetic field at audio frequencies which provide an input signal for a telecoil-enabled hearing aid, cochlear implant, or handheld receiver. A common place to encounter an area coverage loop facility is in a conference room. As many as 1 in every 6 people experience some degree of hearing loss, a number that represents a significant proportion of the population. The simplest form of area coverage hearing loop system is a perimeter loop, where the cable is laid around the perimeter of the room to cover the entire area. In this example, the speaker is using a dedicated handheld microphone to capture her voice. When the sound source has been captured, the signal is transferred to the amplifier. The current delivered to the loop system by the amplifier creates a magnetic field that transmits an audio frequency. International standards stipulates performance for field strength and consistency throughout the listening area. The magnetic field induces a current in the telecoil, which is then translated into audio by the hearing aid, transferring it directly to the ear canal using the hearing aid's own speaker. You can't always use a perimeter loop around a room. as many modern buildings contain metal that absorbs the hearing loop's magnetic field. These issues can be addressed using modern design tools and loop layouts that address both magnetic field degradation and signal spill. To help
So that concludes my training. I just want you guys to remember a couple of things. First, not everybody with a hearing loss is the same, and they don't expect the same communication. So your best bet is always to ask the person. And two, if you have any questions or need any technical assistance, I'm always available. I do these trainings, but also if you can email me, you can call me. You can also visit our website to look at the products. There are product sheets that I will be giving to Denise that are going to be put on the intranet. I'm going to also be putting a frequently asked question on given it to Denise, so she can also put it on the intranet. So, but if you still have any questions or if you have any technical difficulties, you can always reach me. Thank you.